Downtown southbound on Tower, they're going to be disappointed. It's much faster to take the detour.
Fairgoers are advised to make the detour route, turn off Stinson Avenue onto Hammond, and enter the fairgrounds back gate. Parking will be provided on and across from the airport property. Fairgoers can also park west of Tower Avenue. Police officers will be directing traffic, and traffic lights have been adjusted to help ease the congestion. The Tower Avenue construction has also stopped to alleviate potential traffic problems.
Construction is going to cease for the remainder of the fair week, and there will be one lane of traffic in each direction, so you can get through the construction zone to the west side Tower Avenue parking and then cross the construction area to our front ticket booth just as you normally have.
Okay.
Yeah, and she wants to talk already. I'd rather come in the zoo like last week.
They came from all around, friends, families, veterans, townspeople, here to mark a special anniversary. 50 years ago today, the town of Poplar lost a favorite son. Major Richard Bong, victor of 40 aerial combats in the South Pacific in World War II, was killed in a plane crash. Today, he was remembered.
I figured this was the least I could do to return some of what he has meant to so many of us over the years as an example for us to follow.
The day gave those attending a chance to remember not only Bong, but for some, their own experiences. Family members appreciated all those emotions.
You know that everybody's behind you. You know, they've lived through this, and hey, it's time for them to relive things and, you know, go back, reminisce. I've heard, you know, I've had fellows been in there at the time they have stopped in, and they come here every so often just to reminisce. And I think they need that.
It was also an emotional day for Bong's wife, Marge. Instead of focusing on the events of 50 years ago, she chose to highlight the other vets present who, with her husband, helped win the Second World War.
A lot of people come up, a lot of the men, and they share their experiences with us about that they might have been in the Pacific Theater, or certainly they knew about him. And, you know, they just were, it's all kind of an emotional experience, really.
Emotions are what days like these are all about. Marge Bong says that days like these, despite their sadness, are still necessary to honor those who gave their todays for our tomorrows. In Poplar, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
We have drug awareness, we have personal safety, fire safety, burn prevention. We have a Safety Olympics, sort of a wrap-up, where they have 4 different problem-solving stations, including bike safety.
That all 3 of us have is when we're up here talking. There you go. Yep, it's and because our wing is on, the engine is on, that allows us to do something very special that only a helicopter can do, and that's called hovering. We can hover over one place over the ground, and that enables us to do all kinds of things like rescue.
The idea came that I enjoy bicycle touring, of course, and I thought as long as I'm going to do a tour like this, why not do it for a cause that can help our community.
In this area, this is probably the first bike ride of this nature. People do other different things, anything from rockathons, of course, to car washes, but something of this magnitude, a 500-mile ride across Canada, I think that's pretty exciting, and to my knowledge, the first of its kind in the area.
Okay.
The Silver 1000 is one of the Northland's premier late-season auto races. The $2,000 late model first prize draws drivers from all over the region. There's only one problem. Northland drivers never seem to win. In the race's 23 years, only one Northlander, Duluthian Rick Popovich in 1987, has won. That doesn't sit well with one Northland driver.
Well, after this year, there'll be two local drivers that win it, because we're going to win it this year. We got a pretty good chance down there. We're working really good in Proctor.
Actually, Hansen is running well just about everywhere. He's second in the Wissota national point standings and hopes to break through this year, but reasons for past losses vary.
I think it's just been the draws everybody gets every year down there. You know, it's the luck of the draw all over, and local guys just never seem to draw good. That's it.
And the locals also get to have fun, while the out-of-towners are all business.
More fun, you know. We get to kind of camp out and do the family thing, and sing around the campfire after the races sometimes, and so there's pressure when we're there, but actually it's kind of a relaxed atmosphere too.
The party will last all weekend long this year. An extra night of racing has been added to make a 4-day event, with races in Hibbing and Grand Rapids as well as Proctor. $90,000 are at stake, and the competition will be fierce.
Of course, our crowds are just tremendous, and we're looking for a great crowd in Grand Rapids this year. Being their first outing, we look for everybody to load that one up as well with the modified Super Stocks and Street Stocks are going to be there. And then Proctor, it's a full house at every one of our Silver 1000s. You want a good seat, get there early.
In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
It's our concern at this point that we have a parent out there who is obviously struggling with some issues. We believe that there are people in the system who can help her, whether it's the Department of Human Services or an adoption agency. If nothing else, they can give her advice, they can give her support. Juvenile matters are confidential.
In her letter, Adriana's mother apologized for leaving her newborn at the Mariner Mall. She also said people probably hate her and think she has no love for the baby. Quote, "I've been crying and depressed every day. I'm so ashamed of what I did. I hope someday she will forgive me. I know I will never forgive myself." The letter also asked that Adriana be adopted quickly and not be placed in foster care. If the mother does come forward, she could help speed that process.
The quickest way and the best way to find permanence for the child is for her to be involved in the process as opposed to us doing it on an involuntary basis.
Because again, it gives people the opportunity to compare the records and Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was, sorry.
It's interesting that the candidate that kept saying, we want to keep this a positive campaign and we're not going to get involved in getting into the gutter is the one that's gotten into the gutter. And I'm not going to get down there with him. I'm going to stay, I'm going to continue to talk about what my record is, and I'm going to compare my record to his, and it's exactly what we've done. And when you compare them, there's no question who has brought the city along like the city of Duluth.
Projects that are not moving Duluth in direction. Doesn't tell you in the letter, because I doubt where the letter was.
It's a positive campaign. We will fix the streets, we will fix the parks, and we will fix the sewers. Those are my promises, and we will follow through on them.
Sorry. We promised we will, in spite of that. It was filed against Bruce Hagen. Do you really think? Because it's the only way I can get campaign back on track. It's a challenge to Gary Dogan. No way to stop those lines.
People who lived at 1107 John Avenue in Superior understood it. July 18th.
I just think the message has to be sent that there's a lot of times police have discretion. In this instant, we will not use discretion, and we will hold them accountable and, again, have a zero tolerance.
A mayoral candidate can't be everywhere at once, but this is a day where everyone would like to be. One more chance to shake hands, to pass out stickers, and to get out the vote for tomorrow. Mayor Gary Doty spent his morning at the Rainbow Senior Center. He feels confident about his chances, but says if he moves on, his opponent is still up in the air.
What I'm hearing around the community is that there may be somewhat of a little bit of shift, and that Neil Atkins is coming on, and that David Wheeler's coming on, and that Herb seems to be slipping a little bit.
Naturally, the former Superior mayor disagrees. He was at the West End Senior Center today and points out that he's won all 12 known polls taken in the race to date.
Not at all. We're really tickled pink with how things are going. If this is slipping, let's slip some more.
If Bergson is slipping, some analysts think it's because of Neil Atkins. He was in the Woodland area today going door to door. He says he's got the momentum heading into tomorrow.
I think the last couple of weeks finally turned people on to the campaign. It was scary a month and a half, 2 months ago. But, boy, things seem to have really gelled together for us. And
with this phase of the campaign over, it's a sleepless night for the candidates as they get ready for tomorrow's primary. But one candidate for mayor says not only will he sleep well, he's done everything that he's going to do.
I felt this real sense of calm and peace the last couple of days. I don't feel frantic. There's lots to do, people to talk to. That's fine, hands to shake. But I've run a good, strong campaign, and I feel good about it.
A relaxed-looking Wheeler spent his day at the Plaza Shopping Center shaking hands, knowing that the hands he's shaking will decide the fates of himself and of all the city candidates. In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
I got me a warrant on you.
Warrant for what?
Arrest.
Spike Lee's new movie Clockers deals with drugs and the ghetto. Clockers are low-rung drug dealers who sell dope around the clock. Clockers stars Delroy Lindo, Harvey Keitel, John Turturro, and Mekhi Phifer, who is making his acting debut.
We did not want a known personality. We did not want to cast a rapper in that role. And we had an open call. And Mekhi heard about it from his friend on a whim and rushed down to Woolworths and got one of those, you put a quarter in whatever it costs now, you get 4 strips because he didn't have any pictures.
After several auditions, Spike Lee knew Mekhi Phifer was the man to play Strike.
You did good. Now why you looking like that?
Mekhi Phifer comes from Harlem, so he knows the territory.
Yes, he knew the territory, but he still had to perform.
How much direction did you give him?
I'm not going to let him out there and drown because this is his first film. He's never been before a camera, but I'm not going to take the credit for his performance. He stood there toe-to-toe with Harvey, with John, with Delroy, and he wasn't giving up any ground.
Spike Lee predicts a huge career for Mekhi Phifer. Bobby Wygant for NBC News.
Locked up the wrong...
Architectural reasons, and we try to keep the character of the house like it used to be, and at the same time to serve the needs of today's technologies. We have lots of assistance from other members.
Young and old, paraded down the streets of Eveleth, anticipating the christening of the Christian.
And we pray that you will help us remember that without you, this display would not be here, and that every time we see it, we give thanks to you for those that made it happen.
The world's largest hockey stick. And who's behind this big idea?
Certainly can't really anticipate or expect something like this to happen, and it's been a wonderful experience, a learning experience, and we're going to hopefully keep the momentum going and get people excited about hockey, and especially in Evelyn.
The 107-foot-tall Christian Brothers original is headed for the record books. It is proudly displayed right in the middle of downtown Evelyn. The lumber is accompanied by what else but a giant hockey puck, tipping the scales at 600 pounds. The stick was donated and designed by Christian Brothers, who say it was hard to see the stick head down the highway.
I think the people in Warroad, when they, it was hard for them to see it leave on last Thursday morning, and kind of hard for ourselves to see it leave. But we think that Evelyn will take good care of it, and Warroad's a little bit farther north, so I think it will get more exposure in Evelyn, and we're just really happy to be a part of it.
The originator, Femmer, says every town needs a drawing card, and this should be a big one for Evelyn. A hockey mural has been created next to the gear to paint an even bigger picture. This is one high-sticking call Evelyn is proud to take. In Evelyn, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
But we have to try to figure out a way to alleviate some of the vandalism that goes on in the downtown areas. The other reason that we asked the council to change that is because of the bar traffic and the bar crowd that's out at that hour. So it's a safety issue, as well as it frees up our officers to patrol the bar crowd as well.
Well, when you say 5%, what does that mean, and what kind of things are happening?
5% of the kids, I would say, are the
They will say, this is what we're going to give you. You can either take it or leave it. You can have that customer or you don't have the customer. So even though the rates are low, sometimes well below what it costs us to fill a prescription, we try to make do to keep our customer base.
Hibbing was Rudy Perpich's town. The son of immigrants, Perpich started kindergarten here, unable to speak English. He would rise to become a favorite son as a two-term governor. Today, the flag flies at half-staff at the Hibbing City Hall. The people of Hibbing are mourning.
What was your reaction today when you heard that he had died?
I absolutely could not believe it. And it is a very emotional day today. I think the community is already into a very deep grieving process. You can't help but just look at the life of Rudy Perpich and admire what this man has done.
It was here at Hibbing High School that Rudy Perpich graduated back in 1946. Some of his friends say it was his education that catapulted him to such success in state politics. In fact, Hibbing High School meant so much to Rudy Perpich that he held his second inauguration as governor here. But it was Rudy Perpich, the man, that never got too big for Hibbing. That, people say, they will miss. When Rudy Perpich made it back to town, he often stopped here at Sammy's Pizza.
Well, he really was a good guy. Even when he was in office, he'd come to town fairly often and take his dad out for dinner. His dad's kind of older guy, kind of sick. He comes in a lot. He would take it, and he'd come in with his wife, and they'd come in quite a bit. He's always a nice guy, always said hi to you. Really was friendly to people around here. He did a lot for us.
We're very, very proud of Rudy Perpich. Rudy Perpich, I think, for all of us, provided a role model of a person that was totally dedicated to humanity, He absolutely devoted his whole life, every ounce of his being, to the betterment of mankind, to the betterment of his community, to the betterment of the state and the betterment of the nation.
A portrait of Rudy Perpich and his wife hangs in the Hibbing City Hall, a reminder of Hibbing's favorite political son, who rose from immigrant roots to governor of Minnesota. In Hibbing, Bill Lunn, Channel 6 News.
But to stay on as temporary employees. Our basic labor agreement, and listen to the problems that we're having. I would think that I'd be happy to let you guys have a copy of this. You know, I guess that's not the best way to state that, but the vehemently opposed their hiring it. I'll tell you, it seems like...
And human health impacts of toxic pollution in the Great Lakes.
But to stay on as temporary employees. Our basic labor agreement, and listen to the problems that we're having. I would think that I'd be happy to let you guys have a copy of this. You know, I guess that's not the best way to state that, but the vehemently opposed. The membership of Local 1938 is greatly offended by U.S. Steel thinking that they can have the right to go out and hire temporary employees.
Residlo Meats on Morris Thomas Road in Hermantown was burglarized on Saturday, September 9th. The Hermantown police believe at least 2 burglars broke the lock off the door and went directly to the office. The burglars knew there was over $3,000 in the safe and didn't want to waste any time breaking into it inside the store. They quickly loaded it onto a dolly and carted it outside. They also took the business checkbook before they left. They may have loaded the safe onto a small red truck. If you know who the burglars are, Crime Stoppers will pay you a reward up to $1,000 for the information. Crime Stoppers will also pay rewards to recovered drugs or stolen goods. We want to know about any crime you know about. Call us at 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH.
Political science faculty who lived through the war, and the ideals of those who died fighting barbaric regimes.
I think that the UN obviously has got to get its own house in order. We've got to be better managed, we've got to be reformed, we've got a lot we can do.
His neck smells like ammonia. Apparently she has a history of seizure.
Life and death decisions are routine in the emergency room, but even the patch-up jobs are tense. This guy lost a brutal turf battle to the dog in the yard next door.
We see a lot of hit by cars, a lot of dog fight, lacerations, and wounds like this.
This is Animal ER.
We do see a lot of sort of instant gratification, I guess, if you will, because they come in with bad problems that we treat immediately, take care of the initial needs.
In the middle of the night, on weekends or holidays, when normal veterinary clinics close, this is where pet owners turn. It is only 8:30 on a Saturday night, and already 11 patients have come into the clinic here. Cat fight there, dog fight over here. I don't know what hemorrhagic enteritis is, but this cat has anorexia. And every one of these patients has an owner out there who's very happy that this clinic exists.
She's like 14 and a half years old, and she may just be going, I don't know.
Jim Wilson raced to the clinic with Brandy, an aging German Shepherd who's part of the family.
Just like a child.
So, I mean,
she's been a very good dog.
They want to take x-rays, and so they thought if it was all right with you, since she's not nervous, as soon as the x-rays are finished, we'll put you in a room with her. She's okay.
Carolyn Penniman is medical technician and gatekeeper, coordinating patients, veterinarians, other med techs, nurses, and student interns.
It's been like one big family. I just like being around the animals. I like the people most of all.
On a busy weekend, 100 hurt creatures may flow through here. Only by leaning on one another does the team handle the stress. If any romances bloom here, Carolyn would know. But even without Cupid, conversation never runs dry.
There's the head.
Tonight, Carolyn's showing baby pictures.
Boy or girl?
Don't know. My husband wants to wait. Hey, I got a cut paw. Anybody available to hold? Oh, good, a doctor.
It also looks like duty
Doesn't
calls.
bite, doesn't know how old he is, like the rest of the information. Here goes bleeding.
Animal ER, just like the one for people, with a lot more panting.
The cause of this brilliant display is due to the shorter days and cooler weather. Although this year we are running a week late as far as our peak leaf time, the tourists are still flocking here in great numbers to witness the Northland's awesome metamorphosis.
Well, we have a number of visitors coming to the Duluth and the North Shore area during the fall season. Fall colors is a big time of year for this area for visitor traffic. And mainly they come from the Twin Cities area, but most of them will come to Duluth, maybe for a day or two, and then head up the shore as well to see some fall colors up that way.
Annually, about 3.5 million visitors migrate north to enjoy the natural kaleidoscope. Some have driven for several days and hundreds of miles. Many of them have traveled to see the colorful transition because the change of seasons is so pronounced here. We caught up with a few of them on one of Duluth's premier observation points.
This is by far a lot more trees than we're used to, but it's exactly how I expected Minnesota to be.
Figured it's beautiful up here, and we had friends back years ago that lived here in Duluth, and so we just come up to see what it kind of looked like. So far, it's been beautiful.
We love it here already. It's great, and the leaves are beautiful, and we're looking forward to seeing them.
I'm really in the fall spirit, out here in the middle of the wilderness searching for that perfect spot to enjoy the fall leaves. And many people believe the Northland in Minnesota has the finest to offer. After today, I'm sure there is no doubt. In the Duluth Superior area, the leaves will peak near the 7th of October. Route 2 and Skyline Drive are highly recommended, but remember the peak is in the northern part of the state this weekend, from Grand Marais to International Falls. And of course, another sanctuary for good leaf viewing is on the Gunflint Trail. Michael Prangley, Channel 6 News.
We've always tried to come together and talk about domestic violence as a community issue because it does affect us all.
It's not quite like winning the lottery, but Duluth Lake Superior Paper Industries has come close. Consolidated Papers of Wisconsin Rapids is spending $6.5 million for 2 major capital improvements at LSPI, one of which goes to the heart of the paper-making business.
We're putting slotted screen system in our pressurized groundwood mill, and that will improve the quality of our groundwood pulp, which we think will then translate to improved quality of our paper.
In layman's terms, that means some large fibers that now find their way into some of the mill's pulp will now be removed.
We have large holes on the screens now. We're putting in very fine slots, so we'll do a better job of capturing the large fibers. Let us do a better job of working on those large fibers to make them small enough that they don't cause problems.
The second change affects how the paper itself is made. It's a technological one that will allow the mill to make wider rolls of paper, enabling it to stay more competitive in the marketplace. The mill had always been able to produce large rolls of paper like this 30-ton behemoth, but the problem was in wrapping and shipping them. Now that's possible, and that's gratifying to company officials.
Obviously, we have the signs that our new owners have confidence in us, shown by their willingness to put money into an operation they just bought.
The owners are also spending another $1 million for a dozen improvements at Superior Recycled Fiber Industries, meaning both plants will be state-of-the-art very soon. In Duluth, Jeff Papers, Channel 6 News.
This is come on, you gotta help me though. We go along. One of them is sound, and as I've tried to assure people, the area out here has these big berms and trees and so on. By running from south to north, I don't think the sound will be that great in the city of Keewatin.
What'd you hear earlier?
This morning, I guess I heard them through the wall arguing. Then I heard the guy, he started busting pictures up on the wall with the golf club. And the police pulled me out of the house, and he started throwing stuff out the front window.
With the coming of autumn and the turning leaves, there are many pretty places, but there's only one Gunflint Trail. On the map, it's a winding 60-mile strip of asphalt through Minnesota's far north, a path that starts in the wilderness of Lake Saginaw and ends on the aged rocks and rugged seascape of Lake Superior. But when the maples turn crimson, when the popple leaves ripple in the breeze like yellow ribbons, the Gunflint becomes a magical trip. You cannot drive the gunflint and not wonder at the change. Most of us resist change. But clearly, nature endorses the seasons. Even dying grasses and withering flowers fade away in dignity, telling the rest of us that life itself is only part of the cycle. A few dying asters give way to the joy of emerging seeds, seeds that'll sprout into new life come spring. Nature's patience also shows along the gunflint. Each tree, each plant sets its own season, sets its own time to change. And some, like the evergreens, don't change at all. Perhaps it's silly to attribute so much to a mere trail through the woods. To the moose along the gunflint, this is just a path they cross. But for some of us, the change on the gunflint is more than flying colors from an artist's palette. It's another autumn, it's another year, and it's change in nature's most basic manner. On the gunflint, I'm Ron Schera, Minnesota Bound.
Toy, you know, if you have kids or if you have a younger brother or sister and they grow up, you can just drop off somewhere and use toys. And, I mean,
real priority, you know, but I think really for being a woman, understanding that
they're very much in favor. They're concerned about codes right now. Like we've had Monica.
And we're also trying to get it for not just the students, but the faculty and the community around UMD. And there just aren't any daycares real close by, or they take like they start at 6 months and older, so it's real important.
Somehow, if it could be put in there, that with all of this food that's being collected, and for the food shelves, it's not as though people will all be collecting food throughout Duluth and Proctor, Hermantown, and the surrounding area. It's probably one of the best ways for individuals to be able to make a direct contribution to the food shelf to help those who are in need. And multiply that out considerably if I put in there, that with all of this food that's being collected, and there will be literally thousands of months worth of food for the food shelves, it's not as though
That's right.
Ask me anything or just
yes,
go?
sir. That's why we're here. Okay. I'd like to be able to keep as many of these.
Okay, that's it. Thanks. I can't tell you, in working together with this city government, what a great experience it's been. I've been downtown for 15 years here, and in the last 3 years, I have run into an open-minded openness in city government that has extended their experience and their knowledge. Gary Doty has turned us over to his department heads and staff. We've worked with their task force. We've run into a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of knowledge and experience, and a lot of hard-working people.
The first phone calls came in this morning from Bergson supporters who say their campaign signs along London Road and Grand Avenue were defaced overnight and in some cases replaced with signs for Mayor Gary Doty.
I would probably say 100 of our signs have been covered. There were 40 that we counted this morning on Grand Avenue alone. There were some that were ripped out of the ground, but for the most part they were covered.
One person who said it happened on his property was Bergson supporter Nick Patronis, owner of several Duluth restaurants. He allows candidates to post signs on his property, but didn't understand why the railing in front of his business looked different this morning.
People can put the signs all they want on the state's property there. But I guess it was kind of cheap to put your sign over someone else's sign. It's kind of a crazy thing.
But Bergson blamed Mayor Doty's organization for doing the damage. The mayor declined to speak with us about the issue, saying it was a common campaign occurrence, but his campaign manager said Doty's signs along London Road were vandalized themselves overnight.
This is the kind of thing that happens every election, I think. We've had a lot vandalized, and of course around Halloween time, a lot of them walk off. Since it happens every election, we're certainly not blaming anyone for it, and I don't think anybody's blaming us.
Conlon claims the Doty campaign has lost more signs to vandalism than Bergson since it all began, and that it's just one last campaign trick.
Has this happened to you guys before? What?
With steam, it's strong. Smells like you're taking a shower. Yeah. I use the garbage at work, which is really we were putting it in buckets in the neighbor's house to turn brown. So. Oh my.
As soon as possible. We're working as fast as we can work, trying to solve the problem. The well driller has been notified about 3 or 4 days ago.
It appears that one of the vehicles was crossing the southbound lane and another southbound vehicle struck that vehicle on its side. And at the present time, it appears we have 2 fatalities, one adult male and one adult female, and no names at the present time.
What was done with the female of the truck?
Pardon?
What about the driver of the truck?
She
Depending on where you sat in the Duluth Federal Building today, the news was either bad or good. In the Internal Revenue Service office, 15 employees awaited word on their fate. Their manager was frustrated at the delay.
We have a lot of, for example, clerical people that are single parents with children at home and probably living from payday to payday, and I think that's going to be a real hardship on them.
But up 2 floors in the offices of the U.S. Forest Service, things were moving along as usual. That's one agency that will keep going regardless of the budget battle.
Forest Service has received word that we're to continue to work into the foreseeable future. Forest Service is a bit different than some other federal agencies in that we have special appropriations that last for 2 years in duration. So funds that were appropriated in last fiscal year can actually be used in this fiscal year.
Elsewhere around town, the story wasn't as good. At the EPA's Water Quality Lab in Duluth, 99 federal employees and 91 contracted employees were told to go home this morning. The contractors will not be reimbursed for lost time. Meanwhile, congressmen were expressing equal frustration, both with the budget struggle and the feelings of federal employees.
I could put myself in their shoes. I would certainly feel anger and disappointment, a range of emotions that I know people expressed.
D-Day has traditionally been the day that you kick the habit for the day or whatever, and now we're calling it the Great American Smokeout for this very reason, because the associations like the Cancer Society and the National Cancer Institute know that we'll have broader impact if we look at young people not smoking.
The holiday season for our great city. We encourage area residents and visitors to participate in all the special activities throughout the coming.
It's time. I've been here 6 years, and somebody else needs to move in and carry on.
As members of the unit watched, Colonel Raymond Kozlowski turned over command of the Duluth-based 148th Fighter Wing to Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Palke.
Am I emotional? A bit, yes, primarily because of the people, and also that mostly, but the fact that I won't be able to fly the F-16 anymore after December.
Colonel Raymond Kozlowski has been in command at the 148th Fighter Wing since 1989. He is looking forward to his new position as the military commander of the Minnesota Air National Guard.
I'm looking forward to going down to state headquarters. I'll expand my horizons, if you will, and I'll be working equally with the 133rd Airlift Wing at Minneapolis and also with the 148th Fighter Wing here at Duluth.
Kozlowski says that Lieutenant Colonel Palke is the best man to take over his position, and he offered some friendly advice to him.
If it was me, I would just say don't get into people's face and let them do their job. They do a great job. And if you don't try and command too hard, they'll do just fine.
Lieutenant Colonel Palke will continue to work at his civilian job at Potlatch as Vice President of Brainerd Manufacturing while he assumes command of the 148th Fighter Wing. In Duluth, Gina Stapleton, Channel 6 News.
On Sunday night, September 24th, someone broke into about 10 trucks owned by Minnesota Power, which were located at their service center on Arrowhead Road in Duluth. The thieves broke the lock off the gate to get onto the property and then proceeded to search the trucks. They stole power tools, including a gas-driven drill, at least 5 toolboxes with assorted hand tools owned by company employees, and a unique PowerTech test monitor. The loss totaled over $10,000. The thieves then stole a company truck, loaded the equipment onto it, and drove off through an electric gate. The truck was later found abandoned. Crime Stoppers will pay up to $1,000 reward to find out who these crooks are, or get the tools back. We never ask the caller's name. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH.
The entire front of the property, which is the way it go all the way to the street and the front.
This is to the neighborhood and the council or the commission.
And it needs some. We sent out notice.
At this point, is there any other council committee reports? Seeing none, Council Bowman, go ahead.
We have a developer willing to spend $25 million of their own money for development. Why stop them?
To answer the following question, what happens if Northwest Airlines...
Hill. So I just want you to keep in mind that this is not an issue of developers simply versus one neighborhood. This is an issue about the future direction of Duluth that affects the entire city.
The basic agreement. 1016 is a resolution.
With respect to daycare facilities and
Would you repeat that homestay in comparison to an
occupation to become a very genuine and a very thriving and very real business.
Right at this point, is there any other council committee reports? Seeing none, Council Bowman, go ahead.
Mr. Nolenberger, I don't need the answer tonight, but I'd like the answer.
He just heard a crackling noise, and normally, like I said, he's a sound sleeper. At least that's what his wife tells me, and said that he really don't know why. He just woke up to that crackling sound and discovered the fire. Was able to get out everybody out of the house in time. The house, everything that's here in it can be replaced, but of course they're happy that, you know, the whole family got out safe. The dogs also.
Of the first ever national snowcross champion. The 252 Symbolic. Ooh, another big hit there. 101.
Last year, the Visitors and Convention Bureau did a study, and they came up with about $2.2 million. We're responsible for renting about 40% of the 3,000 rooms here in Duluth. So it has a great financial impact.
Didn't take long, and we are underway with our next event. So once again, come on in during any of the breaks and check out some of the stuff. Some great Renee Appel, Spirit Mountain, Denny Munson, who bust his tiny to make this event happen, and we want to say big special thanks to
At what expense to the Duluth area locally owned businesses are these new category killers going to cause? Granted, they will bring in new part-time jobs, but how many part-time jobs are they going to cause to be destroyed? Just for your
What, am I too fast?
Yeah. Put your hand on there. Go.
The Isaac Walt League was one of the first organizations in the state of Minnesota to be concerned with wetlands. We were active as far back as the 1950s.
Arrest powers, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they had that before also. Okay.
And our experience has been while we would still be doing some minor remove the weapons from the officers, because we didn't have somebody supervising them who had the training and the certification to supervise that type of operation. And so it was really a two-part thing. One is a reduction in the budget, so we had to reduce the public safety. It was just a matter that this happened a little bit quicker than we anticipated.
You know, right below the crash site is just a huge field, and they could have just skid and skid and skid, and very understanding. People remember. In our case, they took us under their wing. 2 years ago tonight, Bill did this. 2 years ago tonight, he was doing something else. 2 years ago tonight, he died. That was the thing that hit us all, I'm sure, the minute we got up this morning. And
Did they win by more than 2 touchdowns? Well, okay, that means that...
About 4 weeks. And so that just gives them that extra time going from hospital to here so that they can get stronger and rehabilitate so that they can go back to their homes or apartments instead of having an extended length of stay in the hospital or going.
You're betting with us?
No, Jason's betting. I won't bet on it. If they want to bet on the Cowboys, then I'll bet.
Schemes. A writ of habeas corpus is exactly what it says when translated 246 of the Wisconsin statutes, which I'm sorry I don't have in front of me, Your Honor, but my recollection, because of lack of jurisdiction, it still did not justify, in essence, ignoring the order of the court.
The authority of the United States.
Difficult to believe that somebody that's in the sheriff's jail is not in the custody of the sheriff. I mean, just would seem to make sense. Whether he's a state prisoner under 782.46 and the jurisdiction of the court are serious
I'm with Denise from the Douglas County Humane Society, and she brought with her a dog that is well-trained, well-groomed, and he even shakes hands. And remember, this is the holidays, and it would be a good idea, if you are giving a gift this time of year, to bring the person that you're giving to, because, of course, this beautiful dog here is going to be a big responsibility, and you want to make sure you find him the right home. Is there anything you might want to add?
well, maybe some holiday tips for pets.
Okay.
Ornaments, garlands, stuff like that are always interesting to them. So
Yeah.
keep them out of their reach,
Right.
and cords. And antifreeze is a danger to pets.
Right. And
Chocolate's no good, and treats and stuff.
Also, Denise was saying we have a lot of chocolates laying around the house. These are like plates of cookies, chocolate cookies. You may never think that could be hazards to these beautiful guys, but unfortunately, the dogs know, or the cats and the animals know how to get to them. And of course, chocolate could be deadly for dogs this time of year. And as far as the toys that Denise was talking about, the cord or the string, if that gets in their intestines, it could be the dog or the cat will never be the same. So be careful with especially cord strings. And there are a lot of retractable toys out there that have balls now that can be swallowed and get caught in your pet's throat. So that's another thing to keep away from them. So you have to be extra attentive as we get into this holiday season. And remember, it's with all the holiday madness, not to forget your pet. We have cold temperatures coming, and say, what would a wind chill of -40 or -50 do to this poor guy here?
He'd probably get real cold.
Right.
So we encourage you to bring them in if possible. Otherwise, provide plenty of warm, dry areas for them to sleep.
And even the cats, right? The
Right.
cats even the cats especially, even though you would say, oh, they'll be fine outside,
Yeah.
but not when it gets this cold.
Right. The cats like to curl up on the motors of the car, so bang the engine or the hood
Very good advice, yes.
to get them out of there before you start.
Okay, so while you're scraping that ice, bang on that car to make sure we don't have any cats in there. And Douglas County also has beautiful cats, you
Yes.
were telling me?
Mhm.
Okay, so cats, dogs, they're all ready for you to come and get them. And beautiful pets like this one await your arrival. For more information, here it is on the screen. And here's the address. But thank you, Denise, for being with us. And
You're welcome.
she gave some great holiday tips for all of us. Let's heed those tips because these are important.
And so maybe they can get some out for them, because a lot of guests are unhappy. They've been able to get them every year, the collectors, and they just can't get any more in.
I think you should put that peppermint princess down there. That's absolutely gorgeous.
I don't even have a 9-3.
You got two more?
Did I hear something about there's a text? I just thought it was. You're welcome. Bye. Hello. Thanks. How was that? What's the time?
Basically, this same group of people a couple of weeks ago, we had some additional.
I'd like to call the special meeting.
What we recommended to the board is that we use a hauler collected service charge, and that is essentially approximately the same amount of money as we collected last year, but to do it on the hauler's bills.
Gifts of frankincense.
In a manger lay, the Lord came down, and glory shone around, and glory shone around. Fear not.
What happens in the story? Is that the one where the penguin likes to run away all the time?
Oh.
He gets into adventures? He gets kidnapped? Oh my. Oh yeah.
Then you can just walk out.
You're going to use that Yamaha footage tonight, that Yamaha footage?
Cash donation. It all goes to the Salvation Army and for the food shelf. But we also last year had over 2 tons of canned goods and non-perishables, and So we welcome that.
On Sunday, November 6th, a Duluth woman spent the day shopping for some special people in her life. She left her purchases in the car as she moved from store to store. The car didn't have a trunk, but she tried to conceal her packages in the back and lock the door each time she parked. She spent over $800. She was tired when she got home, so she left her packages locked in the car, intending to unload them in the morning. That night, someone forced open one of the car doors and stole everything. Don't let someone spoil your holidays. Lock your valuables in the trunk and take them in the house when you get home. Make a special trip home with large or expensive gifts. Crime Stoppers will pay up to $1,000 to catch the car prowlers who plague so many Northland communities throughout the year. But we'd especially like to catch those who steal during the holidays. Let's work together and stop these thieves. Call 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. 723-3683.
While the popularity of snowmobiling in the Northland is rising, so is the number of fatal accidents. Alcohol use and faster speeds are partly to blame.
The big thing that's led to the speed and the accidents is that the snowmobiles handle better. A lot nicer suspensions on the machines, and people are driving them too fast for the trail conditions.
The Department of Natural Resources enforces a 50-mile-per-hour speed limit to keep Minnesota's trails more safe.
Until 3 years ago, they never used radar guns on a trail. It was unheard of. And people, the snowmobilers themselves are demanding that more enforcement be done on the trails.
Terry Johnson is one of those riders. He says the climbing speeds are beginning to scare him away.
The last couple of years have been real bad because there's an age group that's coming up. So, you know, you're talking kids from 25 to mid-30s that enjoy speed more than anything. And they aren't attached to the families as much as it was previously.
The state of Minnesota has a 50-mile-per-hour speed limit. Wisconsin doesn't have any speed laws for snowmobilers. While Minnesota has almost doubled the number of accidents as Wisconsin, fatalities are higher in the state without a speed limit. However, the DNR is urging speeders everywhere to slow down.
In many of the accidents, speed is the main problem. Most of the fatal accidents are people striking fixed objects, trees, fences, gates, and they are overdriving. And many of them are at night and they're overdriving their headlights.
Officials say speeding and alcohol are the two biggest contributors to snowmobile accidents. And they say with close to 500,000 riders in Minnesota and Wisconsin, it is up to each rider to take responsibility and play it safe. In Two Harbors, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
I know, but I want to use it on what she said. Little kid outside. No, take it.
You're just standing in the corner? Holding on. Just feel that it goes across there. Good thing it wasn't tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, good thing. So.
It's like weird. Depressing, you know, like that. Yeah. There's always something like that going on.
And it's scary that it's like right in your backyard.
Yeah.
Is it?
My grandma saw it on TV and she's like, that's right by your house. And I was like, yep.
People need to slow down and drive according to conditions. That's what caused this accident. The tire again?
Frustration noises.
Should get one right there, Jim.
It does. We've been very fortunate with the weather being good to us, and then tomorrow's forecast is supposed to be very nice for this time of year. So we expect probably our best turnout ever.
And providing that the Sioux locks indeed stay open until January 15th, they should all move, but we'll see now how difficult things get to be in the Sioux.
This is not fun out here, obviously. I mean, this is a good testimony to the courage and the fortitude of the people on the ships now.
Deaths related to snowmobiles are on the rise in the Northland. And just recently, the Department of Natural Resources has called a meeting for January the 11th on what they can do to help reduce fatalities. Some snowmobilers think the DNR is making a great move.
I'm really glad that the DNR is calling the meeting because there is a genuine concern this year. We do have a problem out there, and I hope they're going to address issues such as enforcement. Our trail system was built back for the 70s, vintage machines, and I'm hoping they can look at maybe helping us along funding for major improvements to make these trails safer.
The most recent fatality happened south of Duluth along Highway 23.
This is where the last fatality happened. Just this past Sunday, Gerald Milligan was struck and killed by a train as he attempted to cross these railroad tracks on a snowmobile.
I'd sure like to see something along that line in safety instruction. I know nowadays when you buy a brand new ATV, you have to attend a small class and watch a video on safety. And I don't think that's a bad idea for snowmobiles too. There are so many out there. There's just getting more every year.
Some snowmobilers believe that many riders are just not educated enough on the right techniques and safety of driving a snowmobile. They would mind if the DNR required a license to drive a snowmobile like you have to drive a car. Tamika Snowden, Channel 6 News.
Fast.
I do know that she stopped using using it after the investigation. she stopped?
No, Madam Chair.
Well, again, I want to thank
I think that I've been punished enough. I pleaded guilty to a charge that cost me $600. I'm owing at least $15,000 to $20,000 in legal fees, the public humiliation. I've made the papers more times than O.J. Simpson did for quite a while.
So I think basically all we're doing is surviving. You know, we're doing the best we can with what we have. And as the problems mount, then, you know, it's going to cause more problems, and that's pretty hard to guess what that's going to come up with. No matter what, sooner or later you're going to have to spend something you don't want. You're going to give them what money you can scrape up, you know.
Sure.
Even myself, I'm fairly well off because I had anticipated this coming. I went out and butchered a full beef and 2 logs, stuck it in the freezer. I still live 25 miles away one way. So I mean, I'm driving 50 miles a day back and forth while I got in the convoy.
It doesn't travel, does it? Well, then they'll get it on a flat car. No, it's not going to. It belongs to them now, and they wish to have it down there. Although its history belongs here, of course. So it'll leave a big hole in our museum. I don't know what we're going to replace it with yet. That hasn't been decided.